Pull on up a chair. You're at Camp Video Games, y'all.
Well, hey there, campers. Welcome to Camp Video Games. This is a podcast that covers video games and their multimedia adaptations. Today, we're talking Sonic the Hedgehog 2020, the one with Jim Carrey. You know the one.
Yeah.
I'm Junior Camp Counselor Sean. That there is Junior Camp Counselor Josh.
Hello, campers. Look, your tax dollars get wasted in a lot of ways. But if you're able to trace them and discover that some mad scientist is trying to murder hedgehogs with it, absolutely just stop paying them. Stop paying your taxes. That's my advice to my campers this week. Because we're talking about, indeed, Sonic the Hedgehog, the big Hollywood movie version that somehow has 2 sequels and I don't even know what you call
A
streaming
spin-off?
stuff. There's a Knuckles Netflix series.
Yes, in the same universe as this.
Yeah, it's just content. We're talking about content.
We are talking about slop for the masses. This fucking sucks. I hate this movie, dude. We are professional film critics.
Okay, so we don't scare away people here as Sonic fans. I found a lot to enjoy in the movie. It's not my favorite movie in the world.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. Honestly, never mind. We'll keep talking. I'll say my point.
I didn't mean to come off so aggressive. Yeah, again, we have an extensive category of media that we've reviewed here at Camp Video Games.
Yeah.
And this is one where I just felt like a need to just I'm not being dismissive of it, but I'm rejecting it. I'm not ignoring your phone call. I am hanging up on you. That's how I feel about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes.
But I'm also blah, 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 blah. I'm not a fan of the video game series. I like the concept of Sonic. I like the colorful, must go faster. But this movie triggered a lot of little warning bells in my head where I was like, uh-oh, this is just a commercial. This is just corporate slop recycling.
Oh yeah, so let's just dive right into that.
Yeah,
because in my brain I almost compartmentalized that. So I watch more programming made for young people than you do.
Yes.
Because I have a young chibis in my household. She was hooting and hollering and loving this.
I assumed that would be the case. That's who the movie's made for, is for the children.
And we've started the second one. We're a little more than halfway through the second one. She loses her mind for Tails. Every time Tails is on screen, she's like, "It's Tails!"
Yeah.
She's played 10 minutes of Sonic 3 with me.
Yeah.
You know? And she just loves this guy. He's so cute. But we're going to be just focusing on the first one today. But I bring that up to say that in my brain and compartmentalizing this and mixing it up with the newest Garfield movie, which we also watched a few weeks ago. And they both have so much product placement. Garfield's worse about it.
Yeah.
But this one, now that you mention it, I do recall a lot of moments of product placement.
I made a list.
Oh, great. You've got the list. Do you want to just dive into the list? Because I was going to try to remember off the top of my head. But what do we got?
Well, first and foremost, this is
Or maybe just you want to say the company and see if I can remember when it happened.
Oh, okay. How about the San Francisco Police Department?
That's the whole dang
This is
movie.
the Back the Blue. This sucks.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay. Yes, this sucks. I just did my best to let the fact. So, oh man, there's so much to talk about with this movie. Okay, so it's propaganda on one hand.
100% propaganda.
But I kept laughing about Robotnik's character. Anytime he gets a joke that has nothing to do with Sonic, anytime he's interacting with the government,
yes,
it's making fun of government military spending waste.
yeah, for sure.
It's I kept joking with my partner. I was like, oh my god, this movie's anti deep state basically. Then it's so pro cop.
It is super pro cop.
It's not really anything. It's very just.
It portrays the government as inept, but it also the character played by Marsden.
Yeah.
He just looks kind of like a beefed up Tom Cruise.
He looks like a B tier version of like every white male A-list actor just thrown in a blender.
This movie reminded me quite a bit
Cyclops
of. Yes, he was Cyclops in
what we know from
the
original X-Men live action movies.
Is that so? I don't remember. I think so. I don't know. I don't like it. He's got like the corporatized equivalent of charisma.
Yeah.
The Chris Pratt.
I was just going to say poor man's Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt's genuinely a funny guy. I don't dislike James Marsden, but I was forced to see his like shit-eating grin this entire movie, and it's just like, he's like got this like John Cena kind of like vibe about him as well, that is just like kids must love him. Like he seems like a safe, he's like affable, nice dad guy.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I don't like him. But he plays a police officer who is harboring an illegal alien.
Yeah. Well, not at first, you know. What
happens in this movie, John? What is the plot of Sonic the Hedgehog?
All right, well, let's get into it. And first, I just want to appreciate that it's now canon that I just pulled up like a pause on the Sega logo reel or whatever you call it, the top movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a collage of like every Sega product. So like my boy Cosme Kiryu is in here.
What's that?
That's from Yakuza. There's a lot of Yakuzas in here. There's like a few Personas. I think I even saw like an Altered Beast in here somewhere.
Would make sense. That was huge for Sega.
I see Streets of Rage 2. Like it's just like kind of a fun little celebration.
It's like a retrospective
of Sega. I'm just letting it run so you can see what it turns into here. But Sega. I don't know. I just thought that was a fun little logo reveal. That like Marvel does that, but it's not quite as, you know, it's just like Marvel's like, here's a bunch of generic comic panels, whereas it's like screenshots from all these games I played that aren't going to be involved in this.
I love that.
I think that's kind of fun. I got a little chuckle out of that. But anyway, very quickly, we're introduced to Baby Sonic and an owl.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with Sonic the Hedgehog in my brain. And in my brain, Sonic the Hedgehog canon stops at like Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Sure. But it goes on and on and on. The comic series, the mangas that have gone through, there's an anime film that I just learned about. Yeah. And I started watching that, and the owl was actually in it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
So the owl is an integral part of Sonic lore. Campers, we are not giving Sonic the full respect that the series deserves compared to the amount of attention to detail that we've put in with other series. Right. Josh is the only one here that likes Sonic. So
and even then, it's a bit just unfair. The one game.
We're being a little unfair to the Sonic IP. So I don't want you to feel disrespected as a result of our trash talking of this. But this
is a film critique, not a Sonic sucks, let's trash it.
Yeah. Reconsider all your decisions.
Yeah. And I think from my perspective, it's a semi-fair film critique as like a parent who grew up playing the first 3 2D Sonics, which is like ostensibly what the first movie is rooted in.
Yes.
There's nothing because it's all Sonic. Basically Sonic 1, because we only have Sonic. No Tails.
No Tails until the very end.
No Knuckles. Just classic Sonic versus Robotnik. Not even Chaos Emeralds in this one.
Nope, nothing. No, I assumed that would be the MacGuffin in this movie, but it turns out that the rings were the MacGuffin,
kind of,
sort of. It was a little push to the side MacGuffin. Okay, so Sonic is a little baby hedgehog who is being taken care of by a sentient anthropomorphic owl. And then they get killed by ninjas. The owl gets killed by ninjas that apparently Sonic had like lured to here. He didn't lure it, but what's the word I'm looking for? He accidentally brought these ninja like rodents, I think, to it. And like, it's one of those, it's like this movie really delighted somebody. Like, who cares about this lore?
Oh yeah,
there is lore that
40-year-old neurodivergent guys.
Sure, yeah. Just different category of interest. What's your Rain Man thing?
Oh gosh. I mean, I guess like Final Fantasy, like
Yeah. Oh no, without a doubt. You don't even have to finish that thought. Yeah, it's Final Fantasy.
I will always watch a well-produced YouTube video about Final Fantasy. I don't care if it's something I've heard somebody talk about a billion times. If it's produced well, I will listen to you talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, and if you're listening and you make Final Fantasy video essays, tag Camp Video Games.
Hit me up in case I haven't seen them.
Let us know. We'd love to see it and talk about it. Maybe not even in front of a microphone. Okay.
Wait,
so,
what's yours?
It's definitely not like emotions.
Yeah.
What is my probably Resident Evil stuff?
Yeah, and then also like it's not quite like a Rain Man thing, but like I also have a habit of like if I'm working on producing music or like a video of something, I will just be up in my office and then be like, oh shit, it's 12:30 at night after like 6 hours, you know? So like, but that's not quite the same as like obsessing over game lore, but
true.
A thing that I'm like, I lost myself in this. Anyways.
You got locked in. That's good.
Yeah. Locking in is a little different than obsessing over lore.
Yeah. I was not locked into this movie when I watched Sonic the Hedgehog. I enjoyed the film experience. Thank God for 90-minute movies.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Out
movie
the
did
gate,
not overstay its
runtime.
welcome. It's one of those like where it's like, well, at least it was short.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sonic and an owl and some ninja.
I just realized it's not even that. We start with the.
Oh right. You're probably wondering how I got here.
You're probably wondering how I got here. My absolute, the worst trope in moviedom, yada yada yada. It's like out the gate. It's like, just so you know, this movie sucks. And it's not even like, I don't know. It's not even that stuff that bothers me. There's something just off about the setting. The fact that like we're in the Pacific Northwest instead of this beautiful zone we're shown at the beginning of like what looks like the actual Green Hill Zone.
Yeah.
There's just something about like, oh no, Sonic is the only thing that's Sonic from the Sonic the Hedgehog universe that we're going to interact with for 95% of this movie. And then the rest of it is like just humans abiding in the real world. And then Robotnik has like, the explanation, the lore for him and his tech is that he works for the Department of Defense somehow, like both begrudgingly on his part and them. So I don't know why they give him so much money.
They hate that he's a genius and that he's an eccentric billionaire inventor, quote unquote. Wait, who are we talking about right now? I know this is
it almost gives like eccentric billionaire inventors too much credit because it shows him as competent to some degree. Which
he's
is
extremely competent in
the
actually,
real world.
Robotnik says something at one point that made my little camp video game ears perk up. At one point, he says, the reason I'm paraphrasing right now, but the reason that Robotnik likes robots is because robots do what they're told. And that is the same philosophical alignment that Dr. Wily has on robots.
Yeah, and all these billionaire assholes who are telling us everything needs to be AI.
Yeah.
When in fact, it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
They spew out nonsense garbage.
So in this movie, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the rings that Sonic collects, throughout the level, which would be like the stand-in for Mario's gold coins, is that they're teleportation devices. And they're like what? They're like single-use teleporters?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't remember that from the games.
Yeah. So again, like if we say, oh, this is just a weird implementation of something, and you go, oh no, it's actually in Sonic Adventure, whatever those are. Like again, be gentle, but you can correct us. Like we just aren't lore masters, and I'm looking at this movie as it's a film based on the original 2D Sonics for parents to watch with their children.
Yes.
It's not
100%.
for like deep Sonic lore heads. So maybe there's details we miss here and there, that like if you want to tell us about them, great. But
So
that was my take. Is like, oh, rings do that now, which I ascribed to the giant rings that port you to bonus stages in Sonic 3 at least.
That makes sense. You're right. That is where they got that, I assume.
That was like the closest, most charitable offering I had to that making sense.
So a lot of this movie feels like a Hallmark, like holiday type of film.
Yes.
And I think that's based both on it's funny because this movie had to cost a lot to produce, but I assume most of it went into the redo that they had to do for Sonic's character design.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you remember from 5 years ago, when they first premiered what Sonic would look like, they gave him like more realistic features that like bordered on like uncanny valley that was like really, really unsettling. And he looked more primate than anything in that form. And this movie has no backbone because as soon as the fans like spoke up, they just rescinded and they did a complete redo that was more in line with the classic Sonic the Hedgehog like aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, my
that's cowardly
provocation. My question for you is like, do you think that was purposeful marketing?
It's genius if it is. That is brilliant if it is.
I think there's a possibility it was a PR move to like, hey, release like early footage. We know like we already have something better in the can just to get discourse moving about the movie. And then 6 months later, we'll reveal what it actually looks like and everybody will be back on our side. I don't know, it seems like a pretty big gamble with by the way, budget $85 to $90 million movie, according to Wikipedia or whatever. But like, I don't know, this in particular, this is, back when like Twitter discourse was more than just like Nazis screaming at you and posting like porn, and bots yelling at you. There was actual discourse happening on Twitter, and a lot of, I think, marketing stuff like this happened of like, just leak something and let the discourse raise it up so everybody's aware. This felt like the peak of that when this dropped. I want to say it was like 2018, 2019. It was like a couple years before the movie came out.
So this is a Camp Video Games exclusive bombshell revelation. Sonic the Hedgehog is on the Epstein files.
Oh God, don't get me started on how stupid everything is. It was actually no, this would not have been near when Epstein died. I want to say it was like February 2018. Don't ask me why I have like a particular date in mind of when the bad Sonic footage dropped, but like the discourse was big. It happened for days on Twitter of people just making fun of those images that they released. And it was a longer lived meme than most,
Good way of putting it.
So if it was a marketing PR stunt, it worked.
Brilliant.
Because then this movie went on and like made hundreds of millions of dollars. Like we said, multiple sequels, spin-off. It worked, whatever they did.
So in this version of the film, this version of Sonic the Hedgehog, I know there are games where Sonic is like interacting with human characters. And there's that one, I think it was on the GameCube, but there's one where like there's like a romantic like opposite of Sonic that's a human woman that like they shot like romantic cutscenes with like Sonic dancing with a woman.
Is it Sonic or Shadow? Again, I my fandom ends at Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
I think it's Sonic.
Either way,
it's Sonic.
I've only seen screenshots of whatever that
same.
is.
I think the last Sonic game that I played like fresh out of the box was Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast. So that's like 99.
Mm-hmm.
And I, at that point, was just looking for, and that was an open world 3D adventure game with Sonic kind of speed mixed into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a legitimately fun game, but it wasn't enough for me to be interested to stay with the sequel. But what I'm saying is that in this one, at least, Sonic it's a strange like fish out of water, where Sonic is this otherworldly being living on Earth and observing it, and like almost like King Louie in the Jungle Book. He's like, does he want to become a human in some of his like way? It's a very strange like identity crisis that they put Sonic through.
I don't see it. I thought I viewed it mostly through the lens of his loneliness.
Yeah.
Than
Sonic
like
is
him trying to understand humanity.
So
like, cause he's into human stuff. He just wants to be in the room with them. Like, so early in the movie, we established that James Marsden character that Sonic calls Donut Lord, and that's what I call him. I can't remember what they actually named him.
Tom Waskovich?
Something completely forgettable. There's so many forgettable things about this movie.
I'm Vanilla Milk Toast.
Like, he even has a golden retriever. Like, it's just the most forgettable stuff, which, like, on the other hand, made me appreciate that, like, without commentary, he's just naturally in like an interracial relationship. Like, you don't get that in like kids' movies often. Just this, here's some representation. We're not commenting on it. It's just there. Like, like almost like in a way that's so just blanket, like softly done that it's jarring.
Well,
like,
I saw that as like, oh, well, he's a cop. We better make his wife black so they don't think he's a racist cop, because all cops are racist.
Well, this was two years before people were willing to question the police for about 6 months as a wider public, but like everything else about his life, like his home is so sterile. It's sterile is the right word for everything about the existence of this world. Like, there's nothing feels lived in or interesting in any way outside of Sonic.
Okay, speaking of lived in, another product placement here is Zillow. that they brought up.
I think that was the first one I caught that I was like, oh, it's one of these.
Yeah. I would say that Sonic reminds me of like a lonely Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in this movie. It's like he doesn't have any brothers to like play off of, the way that like, Mikey and Raph can like have like arguments. Like, Sonic is just talking to himself a lot.
There's so much of him talking to himself.
Where like, okay, Ben Schwartzman, the voice of Sonic. Schwartz? It's Schwartz? Sorry.
Schwartz.
I thought it was Schwartzman. I'm thinking Jason Schwartzman. Well, everybody's so charming, isn't everyone?
I'm
just
reporting
so
you
charming?
to the ADL.
Ben Schwartz is a very charming and funny, like, improv comedian. Like,
yeah.
But
this is
Robin Williams, he is not. Because they're giving him like the same space that they gave Robin Williams with the genie in Aladdin, where they're like, they have this otherworldly character that can just riff and like do little bits like for his own enjoyment. And like the closest that I could think of would be that equivalent for what they gave Sonic in terms of like screen time. And it's like, oh, just, I don't know, like do the funny, like, not when you have Jim Carrey in a movie, like who is an objective, like he's objectively like a master of his craft,
and also like borders on this same behavior in his character in this movie.
Yes,
it's like, wow, this is a lot.
It's an overload. It is an overload of attempts to make me laugh, and I did laugh. I got some sincere. Well, it's watching Jim Carrey's eyes. He has this like hateful absurdity in him that is just like it manifests in wackiness, but it's rooted in a deep misanthropy.
Yes. Like almost in that, like Jim Carrey, the man, carries very little respect for this role in this film.
And that's apparent in interviews
and then
too.
Infuses it into the character.
Yes. It was really fun.
In a way that works. Because that's the character. The character hates this world too.
Yeah. Good way of putting it.
Yeah. And I want to go back to like Ben Schwartz and his sort of, I have to play all of my own friends, Robin Williams-esque thing is like, I love Ben Schwartz as John Ralphio.
Yes.
I think that's like one of the most brilliant sort of like sitcom characters probably of the 2010s.
A side character who stole the show.
Yeah. And like, I do improv. I've done it for 7 years. And like, there's something I hate about improv at the same time. And like this type of like characterization, like I do think he's brilliant, but like it could be very in your face. I want like a dial somewhere between him and Chris Pratt. Like he's definitely way better for this like beloved childhood video game character thing than Chris Pratt. But there's just this constant talking of like, you can just feel they like just put him in the booth. They're like, just keep going, keep going. We have to fill time because this is a fast ADHD character and he has no friends. So you need to fill it out with just talking. Because another thing, this may be a good point to kind of point out, is like the movie doesn't like visually contend with like Sonic's speed in a lot, like very much like, and by this, like, I mean, like you'll see a lot. There's not a lot of action visually. It's a lot of like close-ups, slow-mo. Like even our 9-year-old was pointing out like, wait, if he's talking in real time while everything's frozen around him and he's like moving everything around and he keeps chattering away, then like his power isn't speed, it's that he can freeze time.
That's one of those stylistic choices that they just like copy and pasted from like the X-Men movies with was it Quicksilver?
Yeah.
And with the Flash stuff that was coming out.
Yeah, he felt exactly like that character.
Yeah.
So like, I forget which one had a live action character first. I forget, was it that Ezra guy who turned out to be like a psychopath as the Flash? I don't know. So there was the guy who played the Flash. He was supposed to be like the next big, like, this is our superhero. We're going to put in 10 movies.
Yeah.
And then he moved to Hawaii and basically terrorized the island by doing like sexual assaults to everyone on the island.
I'm not laughing now.
And they were like, we're just going to take that contract away. And then there was, that guy in X-Men. They're the exact same
Quicksilver was the character in X-Men.
Yeah.
It's just like...
And then this is the same thing. And like, using that effect for Sonic, I'm like, this isn't Sonic's power. His power is that he runs fast.
Yeah, that's it.
And like, but the whole movie, like, there's just not a lot of like visual action that shows like, oh, he's fast. Like it just zooms in really close and just like flies the background, like a blurry background behind him. Like when we need to see him going fast, and like, it feels a little cheap at times. Anyways,
there's a lot of money burning on screen, like every second. Like there's just so
you can
much.
watch the money burning the GPUs that's burning the CO2 in the sky for our entertainment as we burn more CO2 to talk about it.
So Sonic is he's not stalking James Marsden and his wife, but he's like there's the serial killer named Herb Mullen who he took too much acid in the 70s and he started like having these like schizophrenic breaks, but he would start just like watching families through their windows and pretend that he was a member of their family, and then he ended up killing this family. But Sonic is doing the same thing where it's just like, sure, you can play it as just, oh, it's just this kid wishes he was in a family, and like that's well and good, but if I knew that there was somebody just watching me through my window, like no matter what they said next, I'd be like, get away from me. Like, what do you mean? Like that really struck me as like, Sonic's more like a Sasquatch. Like he's like this like cryptid that is like, there's even a character in this movie called Crazy Carl who has seen Sonic and everyone thought he was crazy for being like, there's a blue talking hedgehog and he's running fast.
Yeah. Which feels like the only reason they put it in like a small town in the Pacific Northwest is to make one or two lines about that connection. It's very odd.
Now, Josh, there's throughout the movie, Sonic keeps talking about going to a mushroom planet. I assume that this, I don't know if this is true, but like with the proliferation of the Nintendo cinematic universe, is that laying the groundwork for there to be a Smash Brothers movie with Sonic going to the mushroom planet, perhaps where he could meet with his great pal Chris Pratt?
Yeah. I think the like Nintendo Sega rivalry is like, I don't know, still alive enough that like they're not going to do something to that scale. My feeling when they kept talking about the mushroom planet was just connecting the dots to the first world in Sonic and Knuckles is like the mushroom world.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. So like, remember, Sonic 3 and Sonic Knuckles are like two games smashed together.
Right.
And
physically, literally.
And when you
on the
physically
Sega
smash them
Genesis.
together,
Yeah.
you finish Sonic 3, you immediately start Sonic and Knuckles, and they canonically tie them together. The Sonic and Knuckles, or the first world of Sonic and Knuckles is like Mushroom Plant something, Mushroom Hill Zone? I don't know. And I think we're sort of establishing maybe that's canonically where they're from. I don't know. It's like, it doesn't make much sense. I don't get why the world it was connected to wasn't just like what we see in the first 30 seconds of the movie of Sonic running through like what we understand as classic Green Hill Zone. I can, looping back to the scene where the quote unquote ninjas come. You learn in the Sonic 2 movie, those are the echidnas. They're all fighting over this super emerald.
Okay.
Which, jumping ahead, somehow
Wait, no spoilers, Josh.
I'll save it for the end of this episode.
I'm
okay.
on the edge of my seat.
Because it's very confusing. But yeah, I don't think there's any forethought there, especially because it's like different production companies, different publishers. It's like they're so divided, sort of fortresses of content that I don't foresee a crossover anytime in the near future. And hopefully these IP, like, I don't know, lose steam and somebody has a new idea before we make it that far. But I don't know. Everything sucks. Nothing changes. We just keep remaking the same thing over and over again. So
the next product placement in the Sonic movie, Olive Garden.
That one came up already?
There's several mentions of the Olive Garden.
They do mention it multiple times. Okay.
It's, man, I don't know. The visual spectacle is fine when they fill the screen with all of the effects and they're like having fun with it. Like it was enough to keep my eyes on the screen. Like this movie didn't bore me.
Mm-hmm.
It moved along very briskly. I didn't feel like it retread any unnecessary territory. It just continued and it told a straightforward story.
And it quickly becomes like a buddy road movie.
Which is a recurring role for Marsden. Like I've seen similar photos of him doing the same basic shot where he's driving while a talking animal is riding in the front seat.
I don't know what other movie
there's several examples. I'll try to.
That's really funny.
Later.
Yeah. So that happens because Robotnik gets called in after Sonic gets so lonely that his alien powers fly off while he's running the bases at a baseball field.
Yeah, he creates an accidental electromagnetic pulse because he went too fast.
Yeah.
And so they call in the military, and the military calls in Robotnik. I didn't think to stop the footage while it was happening, but the military representative in the movie is the same actor that plays Albert Wesker. No, not Albert Wesker. William Birkin in Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, the scientist who turns into the big monster.
I know the character. I'm just trying to remember that versus Apocalypse.
Oh boy, I'm excited to talk about
I forgot we haven't done that. I've watched it, but we haven't recorded the episode yet.
That'll be
fun.
Because
I'm thinking, I have a guy in my head that I'm like, not. Oh, maybe it is. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he's a weird looking guy. I don't want to look up his name, but that's a fun role. But campers, if you want, go back. We'll link the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City discussion. That was a fun one.
And yeah, teaser. We're going back to Resident Evil for a while. Woo! And season 3, season 4, I don't know.
I've lost count, buddy.
So, just because I saw more footage of Jim Carrey as Robotnik, I'm reminded of my partner watched this one with us and was just like appalled by Jim Carrey. and mainly by the fact that she's like, oh my God, he's doing the same thing he was doing 25 years ago.
Oh yeah, he is just doing Ace Ventura at certain points.
He's doing Ace Ventura, he's doing the Cable Guy, he's doing the Mask, he's doing his In Living Color characters.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah, Fire Marshal.
Oh boy. What, man, Mad TV rocks. Or Living Color. Yeah. I'm mixing them up.
Like, he is such a one-trick pony. And like we were saying earlier, I kind of let him get away with it because he's so good at it. But there's something about his infused disdain that, like, when I saw him on screen again, I was like, oh my God, now I'm really seeing, like, he hates doing this.
Yes.
That man is full of hate, full of wrath.
Much like Harrison Ford has been very, I guess he's been pretty like upfront about his like disdain for the properties that he's doing.
Yeah,
Jim
Harrison
Carrey
Ford,
in the interview like Ring has been like, oh no, it's for the money. Like that is why I'm doing it. If I feel bad, I'll wipe my tears with money. Like it'll be fine.
Whereas like Harrison Ford has more of a like I don't fucking care attitude. Like
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm Han Solo or whatever. Who cares? Like
I fucking shot the green guy first. Who cares?
Yeah, and I kind of love that about him. I like that more than like a wrathful disdain. Like the last time I saw Harrison Ford was at the Game Awards. I think he came out because like maybe it was like the Indiana Jones game had just come out. And like he's just high out of his mind.
Of course.
Like just baked. And I don't remember anything he said, but it was just so funny to be like, he doesn't understand a single word coming out of his mouth.
I wanted to bring up the footage that's happening right now. Would you rewind it just a little bit to show him?
Sure. We've got, we're talking about when Sonic.
I wanted to just talk about what I think is one of the most unrealistic things that I've seen in a movie in general. And it's a cop using a gun with less than lethal rounds.
I thought you were talking about the ring into San Francisco.
No, don't none of that matter.
None of that matters.
This is where I just feel
we're
like
just here to make fun of cops.
Yeah, fuck cops, dude. If you're a cop, like consider becoming a camp counselor or something instead.
Yeah,
do actual good.
It's pretty embarrassing. But yeah, the scene is James Marsden comes in when Sonic's trying to escape to it's his home planet he's trying to get back to. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And then because he's wearing a San Francisco shirt, he's like, oh, I need to go to San Francisco. Or I guess he envisions the building.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. But
because the ring fell on top of that building in San Francisco.
No, you're absolutely right. The fact that this cop comes in with a trank gun.
That's completely unrealistic.
Yeah.
Instead of a
Cinema Sins
9x19 parabellum rounds, full metal jacket.
And that's how Sonic's rings get on top of the whatever that tower is, the financial tower.
Yeah. It's the one where they keep all the cops.
San Francisco. There's something, I don't know. It's funny, like half my colleagues work in San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
Or in Oakland. And it's like in my brain, I've been there.
Yeah.
But like in my brain, I'm like, that's not a real place where people live. Like it's so like, God, this country's just too big. Is really what it comes down to.
It should be a couple countries.
It's like a lot of different countries.
Yeah, it actually was a lot of different countries.
Yeah, and the fact that we try to govern them all under one law is it's a little messy. Something I've been thinking a lot about.
What we need is more AI in government.
AI can do
positions.
it for us. Yeah. Dr. Robotnik definitely teaches us that in this movie. AI and robots
is Robotnik the hero?
Are
in
definitely
this movie?
Helpful.
He's anti-cop. He's a technocrat.
I think he's more of like a broken clock is right twice a day kind of guy.
Yeah.
Where it's like within his misanthropy. That is a hard word.
Misanthropy.
Misanthropy.
Oh, you know what best time it is for it to be broke on?
What? 420? 420 blaze it. Let's go, baby. Put up a weed Sonic picture right here.
A green Sonic?
Yeah. Anyway, like within his misanthropic jokes, like I was saying earlier, there's like a couple that I'm like, yeah, dude, I agree with that. The government sucks. They spend way too much money on the military.
Yeah. And the complete overkill of like, it's like all of his technology did not succeed in his basic goal, which was just to catch a little gopher.
Yeah.
Oh, this is kind of like a huge, like weird
Wile E.
remake of Caddyshack, where Bill Murray's just trying to kill that. That's a groundhog, I think.
Yeah.
Or a gopher.
The gopher. It's a gopher in Caddyshack. But yeah, it's Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. It's Tom and Jerry. If you've seen those, you've basically seen the rest of this movie.
Okay.
Once Dr. Robotnik comes in.
Underrated or overrated? Kenny Loggins.
Overrated.
That's the wrong answer, Josh.
Because I only know all right.
I'm dancing right now.
I only know his movie songs. Footloose. Does he have another movie song?
He does Footloose, Highway to the Danger Zone.
Yeah,
from Top Gun.
He's the 80s movie song guy.
He's great. I'm a big fan of Kennedy Long.
And if you're a fan of the show, you may have learned I have some amount of disdain for our attachment to the past in this culture.
Oh, but things were so much better when I didn't know better.
Yeah. Things were so much better when I was a kid. Yeah, because you were a kid, you idiot.
No, it's because the 80s and 90s were special.
They were uniquely good.
They were like the same way that back in the 90s, how the 60s were uniquely good.
Yeah. Anyways, back to this movie. I don't know what else happens. Some stuff.
The next product placement is Toyota. Toyota Tacomas. Rugged. Dependable.
How do they put it in there? Is there just a close up of a logo?
It's just what James Marsden's driving around.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up the next product placement because I want to talk about like the Zillow one is particularly
egregious.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I look at Zillow all the time because I'm a renter and I'm like, someday I'd love to own a house. And it's like when you're showing this movie to me and my partner and our child, and you're like, by the way, Zillow's out there. I'm like, you sons of bitches. Like, you got me.
Yep. Because this is a movie made for parents to watch with their kids.
Yeah.
And maybe it's time to move up to the next step. Oh, we had the kid. Now let's get the home and the golden retriever and the tranquilizer gun.
Yeah, it's definitely worse in the Garfield movie. The Garfield movie's hilariously implemented. There are just logos for companies all over the place. It's like a race car. like if there's a table in John's house, it's just covered in logos. It's so bad. I think there's even ads for dating apps on it. There's a Tinder app. They're like, John needs to go on Tinder, the app for singles to meet.
Or Garfield's on Grindr.
Yeah. It's pretty ugly. Which makes me I think that'd be an interesting episode of something like 99% Invisible of what is the sort of the legalese and the marketing conversations and contracts that happen in the background of movies to do that. Because I remember when we were kids, people used to be like, oh, the reason you see everything's generic in a movie is because they don't want to pay to use a company's logo.
But then companies realized, hey, we could pay to get our logo in the movie.
And now it's the movie is the commercial. And
yes.
I'd love to hear a history of where did that switch and why and how and what does it look like when is there a marketing team for the movie who just calls up brands and says, hey, we're doing a Sonic movie and we want to put you in.
Yeah.
The same as the casting,
I seem to remember an anecdote about a film where they filmed it. One scene, dinner table, everyone's drinking Pepsi. Then they refilm it, everyone's drinking Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. And so they have both takes based on which ad placement they can actually net.
I wonder if it was Home Alone. I think of that shot with Kieran Culkin.
That's a Pepsi movie, right? That's I see the blue and white red Pepsi logo.
I just see that picture of little baby Kieran Culkin holding up the Pepsi.
Yes.
And I forget what the line is.
He's gonna wet the bed.
Yeah.
Home Alone holds up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Man, I'd love to play the Home Alone NES game.
I remember playing a Home Alone PC game quite a bit.
Ooh.
It was not good. Anyways.
Was it a gritty CRPG?
I mean, maybe kind of in that, I kind of feel like you would go around, you'd have to find an item and then find where to lay it as a trap or something like that.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
There's some good.
And then maybe you'd move on to a next phase where the guys invade and or something like that. I don't.
Harry and Marv.
Yeah.
Man,
anyway,
I hate Christmas time, but I do love watching Home Alone.
So Robotnik, like we said, it turns into a buddy cop movie because Robotnik finds out that Donut Lord James Marsden has the Hedgehog, and they take off in his Toyota Tacoma. Is that where it comes in?
Yeah. So James Marsden's a cop that Sonic calls Donut Lord, a cop that loves donuts, and Sonic's impulse is to call him Lord.
Well, I think
I think he's latched onto the donuts because they are rings, and rings are so important to Sonic. I'm serious. I think and also they're saying like, yeah, fat cops like donuts. Obviously.
Yeah. So there's still some digs at cops, but there's a lot of men in uniform in this. There's a lot more men in police and military uniforms in this movie than you really would think there should be going into a Sonic the Hedgehog film.
Yeah. This fascist haircut on Jim Carrey looks really good on him. Like,
yeah, they did.
He is an attractive like SS agent. Like,
yeah, he's got a real Richard Spencer in his prime vibe, which is like when they would have been shooting this movie.
How old is Jim Carrey? He's got to be in his 60s.
50s or 60s.
He looks really good. I mean, of course, one of the richest.
Yeah, he looks like he's like always had millions of dollars at his disposal to maintain his health.
Yeah. Money really does make you a better person.
It changes everything. I tell you what.
Man, you don't have to go to prison for as long when you have money.
You don't have to go to prison at all if you have enough money.
For not going to prison.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll have.
You could just be like, hey, I'll just become president instead. How about that? You got to go to jail. I'll just become president. Anyways, yeah, they take off in his Toyota Tacoma for San Francisco to get the ring, the pile of rings that fell on top of the tower.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember beats of this of like they go to a biker bar. Where there's
just hijinks. Like there's just like
some hijinks.
Like there's I don't know. It's a very straightforward story. It's just like E.T. must go home, and the mean government is trying to steal him. Yeah.
And then so there's like the biker bar. There's a bit where Robotnik. There's a big chase scene with Robotnik. Probably like the best action sequence where like it's like slowly tearing apart the truck. You know, as they're fighting off.
That was a fun little segment.
Like a Russian nesting doll of robots from Robotnik.
Yes.
And eventually Sonic gets, what's the word? Like knocked out. And that's your sort of like, oh no.
They're going to kill Sonic in this movie.
Yeah, they're going to kill Sonic the Hedgehog.
That would be great.
And then conveniently, James Marsden's wife is visiting her sister in San Francisco and she's a vet.
And the sister hates James Marsden and is like constantly vying for.
Okay, so this part is so weird that the sister hates him.
Yeah, because he's a cop.
Good point, actually.
Like, would you want your sister to marry a cop?
Right. So the sister hates him unapologetically, unexplicitly, both in this movie and in the next movie.
Nice.
And in the next movie, there's a whole side plot for the first half where the sister is doing a remote wedding in like Hawaii or something. And like James Marsden and the wife fuck off to Hawaii while Sonic is at home and like he meets Tails, and Knuckles and Robotnik have teamed up and they attack him. And like it's so bizarre that like they just keep cutting back to this remote destination wedding from
just
one
so
of the tertiary
go
characters.
To Hawaii. They got a little free vacation. They got a work vacation in Hawaii. Like, so that's, oh my God, why are so many movies filmed in Hawaii?
And then it's finally like halfway to 2/3 of the way through the movie. It's finally, Sonic needs to get away from Robotnik, so he uses one of his rings to go to where James Marsden is, and he disrupts the wedding. And when Sonic disrupts the wedding, that reveals that for some reason, the sister's husband was an undercover federal agent, and the whole wedding was surrounded by agents, so that then they can do a scene of the sisters saving Sonic and Tails using technology that Tails had by like fighting federal agents. It's insane. Like,
wait, you just spoiled.
And that's
Sonic 2.
You're only 2/3 of the way through the movie at that point.
Oh man,
we haven't watched the third act yet.
I was gonna watch it and then be amazed and concerned, and now I don't have anything to look forward
to. But I think
to.
Like the weird part about it is like none of these live action characters feel like characters.
Not at all.
Like they don't feel like people. They don't have chemistry together. They're just bodies on a stage. So then when we give them all this extra screen time for like that stuff I was talking about, it's really weird. But at the same time, my partner and our child, like when the two sisters, like after the wedding gets ruined, they have like a bridezilla feminist like assault on all the feds.
Nice.
No Sonic involved at all. It's just these two women going ham, just shooting men with technology weapons. They were like, yeah, this rocks.
Man, I don't understand. How do you get a movie made these days?
I don't know, but like,
what's it take to it obviously is not, I have a vision. It is just that like I've been given these assets and therefore I'm going to fill the screen with as much like spectacle as I can.
Right.
Movie making is
but like,
insane.
because my partner's completely removed from the intellectual property part of it and giving any shit about that. Like, I'm kind of with her. I'm like, I want to see that movie about like the bride scorned by like an undercover federal agent and getting her revenge. Like, that's a fun idea.
That'd be a fun video game.
But it's weirdly a 3-minute like action sequence crammed into the middle of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It makes no sense. It's bizarre. The people making these movies they're on one. I don't know. It's something else. It got like you saying it, a feeling like Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Like there's
a
something to
cheapness and
that.
vapidity to the characters where it's so like it's, I wouldn't say nihilistic, but it's so like pessimistically made that like there's these people and they're trying to do these like saccharine like feel good like tropes that they're like latching on to. And like that's why it's so like the running joke with Hallmark movies is that it's like the cover of every movie is just like a guy in a green shirt and a woman in a red shirt in front of like some snowflakes.
A small business.
It's always a small town that we know. We've watched plenty of Hallmark movies here at Camp Video
Of course.
Game. For all the video game adaptations of those generic Hallmark movies.
How can we live up to the camp in our name if we haven't watched Hallmark movies?
This is a very campy movie. This feels like it was made it was made in the style of an 80s film, like a Masters of the Universe, like a Hammer core film. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think where it falls short is especially Ben Schwartz. And like, I can't think of exact quotes. There's too much self-awareness of that like the reason camp works is because there's a sincerity to it.
Yes.
And like, especially like Ben Schwartz's like everything's like unserious and like I'm edgy hedgehog. Like makes
Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's him and then Jim Carrey's like disdain for being here makes it so that you have this feeling of like everyone hates this. Everyone involved like is embarrassed by what they're doing. So like, why should I care?
That translates well to my viewing experience, I guess. Where it's just like you ever be like at like a stage show and people are having an argument backstage right before they have to go up, and like you see the shift of them like being like, we'll talk about this later, and then they're like, hi everybody.
Yeah,
I see a lot of that in this filmmaking experience.
Yeah, but to be charitable to Ben Schwartz, I will say like I think he really does like quote unquote as much as a 40-something-year-old man can like respect the Sonic property.
Oh yeah,
and like if there's gonna, I think I already said like if there's gonna be a guy who plays video game characters, he's the guy. Like when you see him in interviews, when he talks video games, he talks video games.
You just like him because he mentioned Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, like he said Chrono Trigger is his favorite game. Frog is his favorite character, like without missing a beat when somebody asked him, versus Chris Pratt going, oh boy, stomping Goombas when I was a kid. It was cool. They're Goombas, right? You know?
Yeah.
Like there's an authenticity to it. But like I don't know how much it's his personal style versus like this is just like that sort of insincerity, the cynicism, the meta narrative joking is just sort of like the zeitgeist of this style, of quote unquote comedy, that they're just like, this is what you have to do to sell this fucking thing. That's true. Like you have to be a little embarrassed by it. That's the only way this stuff sells, because everybody's cynical and everybody thinks the world sucks. It's just like, I don't know. I'd love to see, and maybe if we go back and watch that like OVA you found or something, it's from a different era. Maybe it's a little more sincere, and that's what I love about like when we talk about like Japanese adaptations in like anime and OVAs, they take the property seriously. And like because I'm like, you better respect the thing that I'm like, but it's like, oh, you actually cared about what you were making, and that upped the quality quite a bit.
That's right. That conversation came up when we were discussing the Ninja Gaiden OVA.
Yeah.
And that is very much
this is one of the best ones we watched.
That's very much the same case in the Sonic the Hedgehog OVA, where you're watching this, and I think you summarized that perfectly, where it's like, yeah, it's silly, but if you came this far to consume it, let's take it seriously.
Yeah. And just Americans are afraid to do that. That's like really what it comes down to. Like if it comes out of Hollywood, it's probably going to suck. It's my opinion at this point.
Yeah. That's why I love YouTube. I love YouTube because it connects creative people and gives them a platform and allows them to broadcast to audiences that they wouldn't have access to otherwise.
Yeah.
That's disregarding all of the internal politics of the company that is running a company that is your platform, but the opportunity that it presents to find content that appeals to you as a specific audience is the real beauty of how this like community works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't depend on communities very often.
Yeah. I mean, my misfortune with that factor of YouTube is I've spent so much time like watching people critique media that I can't find just plain old media to watch. It's only people critiquing stuff that gets recommended to me. But like,
well, that's why I make you watch Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Honestly, again, jumping ahead a little bit, it's just like an era before everybody was like, and like I keep saying, it's like they're embarrassed by the fact that
people too proud to be sincere.
Yeah. There's like they're embarrassed by the fact that this is the only thing they think can sell. They're embarrassed by the fact that they're completely devoid of any creativity of their own to come up with a new idea. So we're going to be like, oh yeah, we're just doing this for the money. You know, it's just like, then why am I here? You know, if you don't care, why should I? Like,
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's because it's colorful and it's what's on screen and it's been advertised to you in three different mediums.
Drink it up, you piggies.
This is content. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie is content, and that's probably its biggest sin.
Yeah.
Is that it is very much not a labor of love as much as it is a concentrated effort to maximize shareholder value.
Exactly. Which, you know, and then it's like on an individual basis, because I always like to like point this out when we're making this critique is like, there's probably a lot of people on this movie who are very proud to be working on a Hollywood movie.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I would kill.
And did their best. Right.
Yeah.
And like back to Ben Schwartz, like he probably really loves Sonic the Hedgehog and is doing his best, but there's just something about like, when the core motivator is shareholder value and that's all that matters, and can we make enough money to make another one? Like just anybody with a modicum of media literacy is going to see right through the cynicism of it and be like, all right.
Yep. Very much so. Well
and
put. That
being said, like I had a good time. It was just like, it's junk food all the way down.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
I you know, if I were, you know, airdropped into Disney World right now, I'd have a great time.
Oh, I wouldn't. It'd be like Land of the Dead or Day of the Dead. Which one's the one where they're escaping?
That's Land of the Dead.
Yeah.
Where they're
I'd
escaping
like, get me out of here.
Yeah. No, it's fun for fun's sake, but it doesn't have any great message or it doesn't accomplish anything new. I keep watching this and comparing it to the Super Mario Brothers movie because I think that's a natural comparison to make.
Yeah.
The time frame that they're being made and how they're, you know, we're expecting a sequel to that Mario movie soon, and they're already on 3 of these Sonic movies and the side like series, which is wild to me because it's such a simple character that they are really like, they're like, well, I guess if I were to go with a racing, like, you know, idea, it'd be, you know, they're getting like maximum fuel efficiency out of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Is there do you recall, is there like a needle drop moment in this movie where they played Don't Stop Me Now by Queen?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was yelling at the screen most of the time I was watching. I couldn't hear most of it.
I don't know. I feel like there was. Never mind. I'm not going to comment on it if I'm not 100% sure.
Having a good time.
I just, sorry. We're recording this the day after Summer Games Fest was yesterday, which is
right.
just a big video game trailer festival. And speaking of like sort of just like the cynicism of going through the motions, I saw the worst video game trailer I think I've ever seen in my life yesterday.
Yes.
It was like, I finally don't like this song. I thought I would never dislike this song. Like, I thought there was no capacity in which I could hear this song and not be having a good time. And it was just like the most generic first-person shooter you've ever seen with that song slapped on top. And not even like the least attempt to like make your cuts on the beat or like make the action follow the momentum of the music. It's just like, here's a song slapped on top of a bunch of clips from a game that all look exactly the same. And I was like, oh, you ruined this song for me. And it triggered like, did that happen in this movie too? Or is it just all blending together?
We should probably review that game.
I'll never remember the name of it. There was like 40 games in that.
Campers, if one of you wants to put that in the comments, what game is Junior Counselor Josh referring to right now?
Please
do it. Just send us a link.
God, it's so fun to just like watch Jeff Keighley on a stage, just dead-eyed going, here's a first-person shooter about aliens that look weird from a new publisher. Somebody kill me. It's just weird because it's a prison of his own design. These like award show / trailer reveal things that he does. It's like, you built this, dude. Go out and at least look like you enjoy it.
I'd rather be gaming, honestly.
Anyway, what else about the Sonic movie?
There weren't enough. I mean, I have to say there weren't enough. It wasn't sexy enough. There weren't enough bikinis. We need some. We need to sex it up here. We need to exploit some female figures. Let's get that going.
Which honestly, like, and again, it's like, it doesn't have to be in this kid's movie. But speaking of like how neutered Hollywood film is, like, last night we were watching this show Extraordinary Attorney Woo. Are you familiar with that at all? No. There's like a sea of these Korean dramas on Netflix now, and this is just the one that somehow stood out to us that we're watching it, and it's about an autistic attorney, but it's good. It's actually good. And there's like a kissing scene where like, oh, the autistic attorney can finally bring herself to kiss this guy she's had a crush on, but she has weird touching issues.
Sure. And
like they just hang on them kissing for like a minute, and we were both like, this is so nice,
just watching people make out.
I haven't seen a sincere like romantic scene in something in like 20 years. Huh. You know? Yeah. Like, again, it's just like, God, American content slop. It's just so boring. I'm so bored. Speaking of, I looked up as like, we're just letting the movie run. And it's like, once again, it's just like 2 headshots of them in the car talking, because that's the only way to move the plot forward. It's just like, we've got the wide shot and then the close up of both of them, driver's seat, passenger seat, chatting, move the plot, and then Robotnik hits again. Like, and that's 2/3 of the movie.
So when you're filming a shot like this, where, James Marsden he's obviously talking to like a tennis ball.
Yeah.
In this scene, it seems like the way there's like a vacancy behind his eyes that makes it look like he just sees all of us as tennis balls.
He's been talking to tennis balls on a blue stage for so long that just all living beings are him talking to a tennis ball.
Yeah, or he's just seen too much, like, and like he's like, I'm not even here.
Yeah.
I'd rather be gaming right now.
Yeah, these people have lived in like the stripped down matrix of the blue stage for so long that they're just lost in the between of the two. Of the real world and the matrix that is the CGI'd up film that comes out 2 years after they've done it. It's, again, it's like I had fun, I guess.
We've got like 5 years left, maybe.
Of what?
Just like
life
before
or content?
Before it all just like goes out, right? Like we have only got so many more years of like video game movies. So,
but the problem is there's going to be a huge avalanche of them before it's over. We have got our work cut out for us for the next 5 to 7 years.
Oh boy. I don't know.
That Elden Ring movie has been confirmed since we last recorded, because it first was leaked by some website that everybody was like, no, this is fake. Like nobody's confirmed it. And then A24 and FromSoft put out a statement like 2 weeks later. They were like, no, it's real. And I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of that game is like you don't see the story. It's like loneliness is the point.
The majority of the lore is imparted just through like item descriptions.
Yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant way to like not overload the character or the gamer with like information if they want to just focus on playing.
Yeah. And it says something really interesting about like A24 as a studio was like, hey, we're the home for independent movies that are really interesting. Like we choose them based on the quality of the script and like our belief in the project. And then we leverage them with a little bit more budget. And then we got a slew of really great movies for 5 to 7 years. And now like this feels like the nail in the coffin for A24 to me of like, okay, we're moving over to IP slop,
sure.
But like, oh, it's elevated because we're doing the IP that's like respected by adults, and we're gonna make it the adult respectable video game movie.
That's right. You have to tuck your shirt in to see this movie.
It's still gonna be content slop anyway.
It's fine. I mean, it'll all be over soon. I don't know what's going on. I feel bad. I feel bad right now. Sonic the Hedgehog.
I don't know why I didn't already like know this conversation was gonna sort of have this tone to it, but now that we're in it, I'm like, yeah, this feels right. Like this movie feels like the end of something. Like
everything. It's it. We're cooked. At least once an episode here, I got to remind you, we're roasted. We're out. It's end of the line.
I'm losing it.
Tell your friends and family you love them. That's all. Just make sure you tell them you love them.
And listen to Camp Video Games.
Oh,
because
like join the Patreon.
Like
$5 a month.
That's the thing is like, no, like you're still going to be alive with all of your, consumption toys around you. There's just going to be a little misery eating at you inside. And like, you just have to pass that time with something. So why not Camp Video Games? It's just going to be like a little grimier and shittier every day, but Camp Video Games can brighten that. So
we'll fix you. It'll be better. It's all fine if you
it's
patreon.com/. As
I'm watching the movie more, it's just like a rushing nesting doll of shittiness, like this Robotnik robot attacking their truck.
The next like least realistic thing is that James Marsden just doesn't have a gun. Like he's a cop in the entire movie. He has the tranquilizer gun because his wife is a veterinarian. He's just a cop that doesn't have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Malarkey.
Well, he's between squads. He's trying to move up to be a big time San Francisco cop. There's a lot more people to beat in San Francisco.
More crime to fight in San Francisco.
You can go beat heroin addicts down in the Tenderloin. It's fun. I don't know. It's weird to be like, I didn't mind watching this movie, but it sucks.
Yeah. I don't know if this is compelling me to see the sequels.
Okay, so again, I've watched most, like the first 2/3, the first 2 acts of 2. The other anthropomorphic Sonic people being there, I think helps a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to watch it.
Okay, cool.
Like if I did not have a child to watch it with, I wouldn't care.
Right.
But like I think we're having a lot more fun with the second one. Tails does a lot of heavy lifting by being so goddamn cute.
Who voices Tails, do you know?
I think it's just like some woman who just has a lot of like anime voice acting
Yeah,
experience,
that's cool.
which also helps a lot because those people like take it a little more seriously than Hollywood people. And Knuckles is voiced by Idris Elba, and does this like stone-faced warrior thing pretty funnily. It really helps to like make it so that it's not just Sonic bouncing off of himself the whole time, and that he has like pals.
Yeah, Tails is Colleen O'Shaughnessy, and yeah, she was on Digimon and Naruto. Yeah,
like that makes a difference. You gotta have a couple of those people in there.
That's a good call. That's a good voice. I had a good enough time watching this, but it's one of those things like the certain snacks trigger like your like addictive traits sometimes, like the way that like they like make Doritos like chemically and like you need to eat more to feel anything. This one didn't affect me. I didn't get hooked by this.
Yeah. Which is funny because like I felt a little bit of that from playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like I keep feeling compelled to be like, I can just pick it up for 10 minutes and work.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I can work on a playthrough now with Tails or with Knuckles or whatever now that I beat it with Sonic. And this doesn't really inspire that in me. I have all 3 Sonic movies now. We will watch them once and probably I won't want to watch them again. If the Chibis wants to put them on, I will leave the room and do something else.
Yeah, maybe play some Sonic the Hedgehog instead.
Yeah.
Overall, James Marsden has a very forgettable like performance. Ben Schwartz is doing the best that you could ask for a voice actor to do Sonic the Hedgehog for a feature-length film. Jim Carrey is a delight. And I'm just worried about the other people in the room with him, honestly. Like, he's just got such an intensity that I imagine. Like, I would hate to see Jim Carrey, like, in a rage.
Yeah, you think he goes, like, method to play Dr. Robotnik, and it's just an excuse for him to be an asshole to everybody the whole time?
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, like, it's funny because this movie is, like, I don't know, for me, it's like a letterboxed 2 or 2.5, which is, like, means I didn't completely hate it.
Yep.
But like usually if I give something, a just right down the middle score, it's because I was just sort of it's fine. Mm-hmm. But it's more like, it's like kind of just a few extremes of like, oh, there's stuff I absolutely hate about this. But then there's like just enough of like, you got me. You made me laugh. That I'm like, I'd toss you a 1.5 or something, like extra. That
really reminds me. I got into an argument with my dear pal Mike the other day. He's trying to get me to watch some of the new Star Wars stuff.
No, is it Andor?
Yeah, I think so. I'm also kind of dismissive, and I didn't listen to him. But he's making all these cases for why it's like, no, it's good. This is about like the current state of affairs and blah blah blah. And
it's Andor. He's talking about Andor.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've had this conversation with a dozen different people.
And the thing that's good about using IP to do a little bit of like cultural, reflectiveness. Is that if that IP still appeals to you on that like core emotional level, like Star Wars does for so many people, then good. Then this new series is helping people like
find some catharsis or
hear a message that might be encouraging or something to think about on our current state of affairs. So that is good. The problem is that much like Sonic the Hedgehog is for me, it's like this doesn't appeal to me on the core. Like it doesn't make me feel like a kid again if I were to like boot that up. Like, and that's not the reason that I boot up things. I'm not trying to recapture that. It's more just like, the same way, like maybe like the smell of your like, childhood dog would like make you just feel fondness or something like that. Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't have that effect on me.
Right. God, I have so many thoughts. So I've had this same experience with Andor because it like everybody's like the politics in it are so good. It's not just like liberal slop. It's like actual leftist politics and fighting fascism. And I'm like, one, so was the original. Like, and like 2, you're the same people who like, let's say like the first round of Trump like hashtag resistance when everybody was like comparing things to Harry Potter.
Oh,
like these are the same people who were
Yeah.
telling those people like
Yeah,
read
yeah.
another book, and like now I'm like watch another intellectual property. Oh my god, like it's so boring. And like I tried 3 or 4 episodes of Andor, and I was so bored. I was like, I do not care about this world anymore. I'm so over it. I want something else. And like, I think some of that comes from just like, yeah, because I've played like video games is less like it's still like very much like regurgitating stuff, the video game world. But I think because I grew up with things like Final Fantasy that weren't the mainstream culture, that were doing this like sort of subversive cultural critique, and like knowing like, no, there's more than Harry Potter and Star Wars out there. You know, it's like when people keep recommending me a Star Wars, I'm like, no, there's other stuff. And it's still like whatever, low culture or whatever, like easy to digest, accessible, but like it doesn't all have to be Star Wars. It doesn't all have to be Sonic. Like it doesn't have to be Mario. Like there's other like worlds and intellectual properties you can explore. And, you know, they're not all like, you know, Philip Roth or David Foster Wallace, like difficult work kind of stuff. There's still digestible popcorn stuff where you can get this sort of like cultural, socio-political catharsis or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be Star Wars. I'm so tired of it.
The current state of art in at least in like motion pictures and television. What it reminds me of is the craft beer boom of the last like 2 decades, where all of these breweries first started. It was very challenging. They would do like these like, you would see mostly like IPAs at breweries.
Yep.
And then
you
see how they start shifting toward everyone's got their Bud Light equivalent at the brewery, and they realized that's what people really just wanted all along anyway, was like the easiest to digest. And so these breweries where their passion was to make the foulest IPA that they could, but then they're making something that's like almost clear as a liquid.
Well, now they've gone one step further where it's just alcohol injected into seltzer.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm thinking of just like my corner store. Like they have a pretty decent beer selection, but it's like you can track over time how much shelf has been moved from like dense like IPAs, porters, like, and now it's like alcoholic seltzer and like a Bud Light equivalent is like 2/3 of it, and it's like just a few IPAs and like fancy dense things left. That's such a good analogy. Like, yeah, content, movies, TV, whatever you want to call it. It's so like the same direction. It's like it was never like, again, gonna be as challenging as sitting with a 1,000-page novel or whatever, but like there was room to explore. There was room for a Sopranos, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and like even Succession, which I consider like a spiritual successor to The Sopranos, is like a little bit like responsive to the discourse in that like, oh, this was on Twitter last month, let's riff on it, you know,
kind of like how South Park became like call and response with the news, where the news would say something and then South Park, because of their animation style, they could just quickly put an episode out that would be, oh, well, we heard this. It's like the monologue for a late night show. They're like, what's
or
the news
like
today?
SNL. It's like, we don't even riff on the thing that happened in politics.
They just do it
We
again.
just say the thing that they said with a funny wig on. Or like
that's indicative of how absurd our political like sphere is. Where it's like you don't need to make a joke of it. You can just say it and people go, but they're nervously laughing because these people have the weapons pointed at the people, and it's not going to be okay when they feel threatened.
Yeah, and then like the reason I brought up Succession is there's some new movie.
I have to like check my pulse right now. I'm panicking.
There's some new movie. I think it's called like Mountainhead or something, that the creators and writers of Succession, I don't know if it's just one guy or a group of them, but like he wrote it in like a month to respond to like the billionaire oligarchy tech bro-y moment, and then published it 3 months later. Like they just made it really fast. And it's like, that's content. Like, there you go. It's just, let's respond to the thing that's right in front of us by doing like it 2 degrees removed. And it's just, I'm so bored. I'm so bored. And I still think this all relates back to Sonic being indicative of it. There's something about it, especially coming out in 2020. 2020 feels like a turning point.
2020 was
There's a lot of 2020 that like we just don't reckon with as much as we nearly should.
2020 is when families like knew for certain that there was a difference. Like there were clearly drawn lines in a lot of families in 2020 at that point. And like just based on so many different factors, but it became really hard to just like comfortably sit and like not address the bigger problems in a lot of like how people were identifying through politics or how they were responding to how to responsibly manage their effect on other people's health. And just like these very basic like kind of like where it's like etiquette kind of took a back seat to survival for a lot of people in 2020, and it's not gonna change for a while at least.
And regarding like media content slop, it's like it's like, okay, media all has to be mediated through a lens of it's either like this inoffensive, like nobody's sincerely invested at all content slop, like a Sonic movie or most video game movies, or it's like one side of the culture war binary. It's just like it's clapter for one side or the other. It's not actually interesting. It's not challenging. It's not funny. It's just to make your side of the culture war go, I agree with that. Therefore, I enjoy this.
My neighbors are wrong.
And we're just doing more and more and more of that. And it sucks, and I hate it.
It is cool when Sonic hits stuff when he's a ball.
I mean, that's cool. You know, he glows.
That's cool.
Or whatever.
Dude, it's cool that Dr. Robotnik uses one of Sonic's quills. That's like a source of power for him. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, that's pretty cool. Remember the 90s?
The 90s were cool.
They were
very cool. They were.
Dude, they were so much better than now.
Yeah.
I wish it was the 90s.
They were bogus even.
I wish my parents never got divorced.
I need to go watch a movie about an intellectual property I grew up with to forget about that.
I'm going to watch Faces of Death.
So that's Sonic the Hedgehog 2020.
Oh, hey, campers, big announcement. Camp Video Games is doing its first live appearance at Manga in Cincinnati, August 1st.
It'll be less of a downer than this.
Maybe. Depends on the room. But Manga is doing a weekly summer series. That's just kind of it's a very, very chill, free to attend miniature book club, and I have volunteered Camp Video Games' time and attention to talking through Pokemon, The Electric Tale of Pikachu. It's our first Pokemon discussion here at Camp Video Games.
Oh boy.
And
oh boy.
It'll be enlightening. Lightninging.
Yeah.
Because he's Pikachu. Lightninging.
Yeah.
It'll be enlightening.
I'll also take this to do some housekeeping. Is that like, we're going to talk some more Resident Evil eventually. I believe we're going to play the Resident Evil 3 remake and talk about Resident Evil Apocalypse.
That's right.
Which is
the second Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movie.
I look forward to doing that, but I feel like we might be on some sort of at least publishing hiatus until this live, either that or this live episode will be the next one out.
That's a good question. I'm not sure, but we'll figure it out. And
I got too many things going on. Unfortunately, my god dang family won't give me enough time to play and talk about video games. And my job, they're like, oh no, you got to like do work. No, I'm just very busy for the next couple of months. So we're gonna like tank episodes whenever we can, and then start publishing again whenever they're ready in a few months.
Josh, any palate cleansers?
Oh boy, howdy. That's a good question. I don't know. I have not had much time to play games, but the Chibis finished Astrobot. I wouldn't consider it a palate cleanser because that almost retreads the sort of cynical discussion we've been having for the past 15 minutes of like,
Yep.
Who
Throw
is
the
this,
slop together.
Who is this slop for?
Children.
Like,
It's
but
to corrupt the youth so that they become good little consumers.
But the weird thing about Astrobot is like they did care. And maybe I've talked about it on the show before, so I won't dwell on it too much, but like it is an amusement park of joy to play. But it's the infusion of nostalgia through these just like dead-eyed robots that are like, we put the wig of a character from a game you've never heard of on it. And like, yeah, this kid would just like, every time she says character, she goes, who's that? I'm like, I don't know. And it'll be like some game that like only came out in Japan in 2002.
Cool.
On PS2. And it's just like, what are we doing, man? Like she did like she made a meal out of that game. Like she
It's been a few
completioned
months.
it. Yeah. I have no interest in going back to it. I only played like 5% of it myself with the sticks in my hand. And I'm like, I'm good, you know? But then when she finished it, I'm trying to hold off on like, this is man, it's so hard having a 9-year-old in your life. Cause I'm like, I just want to go buy a Switch 2. But I'm like, I don't want this kid to feel spoiled by like, oh, the Switch 2 came out, so we just get it. Right? But also I want her to be able to play Breath of the Wild. But I don't want her to play it on the old Switch because now you can play it in 4K 60 FPS. And if I'm going to watch it again, I want to see it with better graphics and et cetera.
Fair enough.
And better load time. So trying to tide her over, I fired up Ocarina of Time with her mom was here too. And I was like, just open up the loads, like just load it up and just let it sit there and just watch the load screen for like 30 seconds like to get into the game. And like literally the second it came on, that and the like clopping of the horse came in before even the melody. Both she and her mom are like, "Oh, I can chill with this."
Hell yeah.
I'm not sure if she's gonna stick with it though, because like, we have a Switch controller and it's Nintendo 64 controls, and she has no concept of what a Nintendo 64 controller is. And you can't use the right analog stick for the camera, which she's become accustomed to. So it's like, I could just see her brain like, what? Like, so I don't know if she'll stick it out. I wish she'd like let me just play it for her or like teach her more. Cause I'm like, no, you would love this if you just like get used to it. We made it to like where you jump through the web of the Deku tree.
Sure.
And then like you're in that little well down there. That's as far as we've made it. And then I don't know if she's given up, but I'm going to keep prodding it for a little while.
Ocarina of Time has a really solid first hour.
Yeah, well,
it's like a game intro where it's like it's very cinematic, which was wonderful for the time, and then it goes into this like insane like adventure where like Link goes into the Deku tree and like. Then it dies. Like it's I mean, God, that's a whole month of conversations.
Yeah. Well, what I will discuss about it right now, though, is the problem is like that hasn't aged for kids' attention spans. So like we got in and she was just like, "Where's my sword? Where's my shield? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go." And I'm like, and I just kept reiterating like, no, like when I got this game, this was all I had. So like I spent hours on just this point over days before I even made it into this dungeon, like, and we loved it. Like, and that's just not the case anymore. Like it just could not hold her attention. Eventually I had to be like, okay, no, you got to go there. That's where the sword is. It's like after like 5 minutes, I can tell she's like ready to give up because she's like frustrated with the controls and stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if
it's a bummer.
The 3DS remake would be a good entry point with the like because that had modernized controls that like
did
it to some degree. I remember the camera control being a little bit better for the 3DS than it was on the Switch.
Interesting.
Something to consider. But
yeah, I don't know. You got anything you're playing, reading, watching?
No. I'm so busy right now.
Yeah,
it's been it's been a farmer in spring kind of. That is my life.
Yeah, and I will say like the other reason that I'm like it's going to be a while before we can get our Resident Evil episode in is it's funny. I was like telling my partner the other night, we were in the bedroom and I was like, yeah, Sean and I, like the next game we want to play, it's like another one of these like, really scary, bloody, violent zombie games. And then the Chibis pops in. She's like spying on us in the hallway. She goes, I like the zombie part. It's like, can I play? And I was like, no, like the problem is I got to find time like to get you out of the way so I could play this.
Yeah.
It's hard to solve for that now that like they're getting ready to move in. So like, I'm like, oh, when do I get my time to like play these games? And it's like, I got to solve for that before we're going to be able to play it. But I do kind of look forward to it because I liked the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah. Resident Evil 3 make, as some people call it. It's a fun little conversation to have later on.
Yeah. So either that, or the one we teased will be the next episode at some point.
Who knows? Let's see. For more information on our event, go look up Manga in Cincinnati. I think it's mangacincinnati.com. I'm sure they're going to approve of everything that we had to say in this episode, and they're going to be.
I mean, we didn't disrespect manga or local businesses.
That's true.
What else would they care about?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but the world will end soon, and when it happens, at least there's good manga.
Yeah, hopefully, you'll have just download all of our episodes so you have a backlog in case the internet goes down, but you still have electricity.
Well, the EMP will take out all of our devices.
Well, you gotta, you'll have a generator to charge your phone.
But
listen
once
to
the cannibal
podcast.
hordes come, it's gonna just be a bloodbath.
Okay, yeah, in that case, you're going to want to record.
Listen to them all right now and memorize them so that you can carry on the oral tradition of camp video games.
Okay, that's the best option.
I give Sonic the Hedgehog a D+.
There you go, folks. So, we'll see you in a few months if the world's still turning.
Patreon.com/campvideogames.
Till then.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.